time is nigh. Open up your eyes to see the signs of the times. Got to be wise to all of their lives. Look to the skies from where my help comes. Wake up, got to wake up from the slumber. Don't let them pull you under. Rise up above the water. Never let them wrestle you into the mud.
Yes. Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Wazira Menin. Yes, family. One perfect balance. Greetings and welcome to Politically Incorrect, where we get it correct. And if we're not correct, again, feel free to correct us. We don't have no problem with that. You could send us a kite, send a pigeon, send a text, whatever suits your fancy in this day and age of technology. You can even write it on a tablet and stone and just put it outside my door that's leaned up against the wall. Not a problem. But just correct us if we're not correct. But usually we are politically incorrect. I want to say welcome again. In fact, today is that special day for those observing today as a sacred Sabbath. So as always, we say Shabbat Shalom, Salam Alaikum to the Islamic community, Ashe Hotep to the conscious people. Y'all already know Namaste, the brothers and sisters out in the East, Rastafari to the brethren and sisters, and to everybody else is just love and light. You know what I mean? We be in this together, whether we like it or not, and we all got to share the space. So tonight the question is Barbados prepared for a food crisis? Now, I would have touched on this before on more than one occasion, and I'm passionate about the food and agriculture. But as I walk around, I look around, and I realize certain things, and I realize a lot of things are going on, from the cyber bill and all this other crazy stuff that they're doing. I think there's a march coming up as well pertaining to that. I'm going to touch on that in a brief bit too, but it's all relative. Don't think for a second that all these things going on politically speaking and is not tied to food, because the easiest way to control the people throughout the corridors of history has been through food. All you got to do is control the food and you control the people. And that's just the reality. So, while we seemingly advocating and lobbying for change from the political standpoint, I going to say some stuff tonight that is going to be definitely controversial. It's going to definitely ruffle a lot of feathers. And I'm going to say this right now. There's no disclaimer. What I said, and I said it, and that's it. Straight up. Like Santia said, she is not the one. Well, guess what? Emmanuel and the one. We're going to address some stuff tonight. We're going to even undress some stuff tonight. We have a very special guest with us. I was going to put his name up earlier, but I said I'll surprise the people with this one, because I can't even believe I'm actually having this conversation with this gentleman. I mean, they should give him a professor title. He should have an honorary doctorate from the university. In fact, the University of West Indies need to give him an honorary doctorate. And I'm going to put it out there. You are officially a professor, as far as I'm concerned. And anybody else that knows you will soon realize that you are just qualified way above and beyond the standard or the level of professor. Yeah, I know there's another level above that, but certainly you would have it. But before I call your name and introduce you, I want to play a song. I got to definitely play this song. It's only right that I play this song. Why would I not play this song? This song is the most appropriate song. Y'all already know we always start with a little tune. And why we start with a tune, go tell a friend that Politically Incorrect is on. Y'all already know. Know the tune too, man. I don't know if y'all know the tune, man. I already know the tune, man. I'm really going. Good plan.
The race they got us with it is for those who will endure till the end.
Those who endure
till the end. Some try lead you astray. Seek wisdom from today, my friend. My friend, they buying food shortage and things are getting dread in the rain. Yeah, hey. Don't let it get in your head, man. Don't only live by bread, but by the word. That's what he said. Put on your armor, trot along. Become a farmer, plant up all the land. Don't let time go to waste. Every day make a way. Grow food and garden.
Listen.
Plant cassava, green banana. potato, sour, turmeric, herbs, ginger, moringa, corn and breadfruit, shadow belly, arrowroot, veggie provisions and all kind of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and go far. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper.
Shout out to all the farmers, man, the whole Caribbean, man. We in this together here.
And as the plants they grow, we grow in same way. New mercies, fresh every day, with time, sun and rain and energy. The plants they will thrive, and we shall reap the bounty. Don't be a slave to the system.
Shout out to you,
Renew
Maria.
your mind daily.
Divine greetings, family.
Plant cassava, green banana, mango, pawpaw, and sweet potato, sour, turmeric, herb, ginger, moringa, corn and breadfruit, shadow belly, arrowroot, veggie provisions and all kind of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and go far. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper.
Blessed and prosper, man.
We want coconut water,
yes.
Beautiful sunflower,
yes.
hibiscus tea and some turkey and beans, planted tomato, berries many color, watermelon, sweet pepper, cherry and guava.
The what? The what?
The guava.
The what?
The guava.
It's the guava, man.
Plant cassava.
Yes.
Green banana. Mango, pawpaw, and sweet potato. Sour, herb, ginger, moringa. Corn and breadfruit, shadow belly, arrowroot, veggie provisions and all kind of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and go far. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper.
May the work of your hand, man, be blessed and prosper, man. May the works of your hand be blessed and prosper. Nothing as a feeling as a war is planted, man. Shout out to Indra on that one. That's one of the most important tunes right now for the nation. I ain't never heard that on the radio up to now, but we're going to keep playing it here on Politically Incorrect till they catch up. You know what I mean? Till they catch up. Wait, hold on. Not so fast with the box. All right, we're going to make it happen, man. But listen, without further ado, we're going to have an interesting night. I want to bring this gentleman in, honorary guest, for the first time here on Politically Incorrect, where we get it correct. And I'm sure he's going to be very correct tonight. Might be a little politically incorrect, but I ain't sure. We can see what happened. Welcome our very own to this prestige platform, none other than Junior Phillips. Welcome to Politically Incorrect.
Manuel, thanks so very much for inviting me. And like I said, I hold no punches. I may be a little bit rough around the edge, but when it comes to agriculture, I am very, very passionate.
Wonderful. So, wonderful. You and me both.
Like you say, if we are incorrect, then correct us.
Hey, bro, that's my thing. If I'm not correct, correct me. I'm just the voice of the people, man. The voice of the voiceless. I don't have no answers. I have nothing but questions, simple questions, and we're gonna work it together, and we're gonna figure it out together. That's all it is. That's all it is. You always say you turn political and this and that. Look, if me are right, she right. I can give her a jacket, but if she wrong, I can go and say you're wrong. I mean, you're right, you're wrong, you're wrong. It's just people being honest with each other. That's all it is.
That's what it's all about.
Wonderful. Well, the question was posed: is Barbados prepared for a food crisis? I going push in the clutch here one time because this is like getting up Thornbury Hill back in the days in the old Suzuki that full of people. You got sure you got the gear right, otherwise you're rolling down. Off the top, would you say that we are prepared for a food crisis?
I to be honest with you, I would not say we are.
Mm-hmm.
The recent incidents over the last couple of months has proven to us that we can, if something happens today, we in trouble. No punches, we in trouble.
But wait, hold on a minute. You understand that by saying that though, I don't mind if you stir an ant's nest, but that's not an ant's nest you're stirring.
That would probably be a hornet's nest.
That's
But
definitely
that's
a hornet's nest. Definitely a hornet's nest. You might go
gonna be a
outrun the
hornet's
ant,
nest.
yeah, outrun the hornet.
Yeah.
If you say we are not prepared,
No.
is it something that is known or is known to the people?
Well, if we look at it depends on your perspective. Now, let's put it this way: if we are talking about the supplying the populace of Barbados with something to eat, then we could say, well, you know, we produce tomatoes and we produce cucumbers, etc. When you look at the new perspective in terms of food security, you know, food security is producing food for next week,
right?
Or excuse me, or crops for Christmas. It is what happens if something dramatic, and of course, we got hurricanes,
right?
And it does not only hold for Barbados per se. We got to look at the big picture. No longer are we sitting in an environment where we talk about Barbados. We're a global village. It takes us, 13 hours from one side of the earth and you're in Barbados enjoying the beach. I say if the average Barbadian sat down and look, and I've been advocating and saying to people, the crisis, some people would say, man, the Panama Canal ain't got nothing to do with me, and the Suez Canal ain't got nothing to do with me, and the Red Sea ain't got nothing to do with me. But the goods that come into Barbados, sitting down up there on boats for the last 6 months, can't get through the canal. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not food. That's PVC bits and pieces and everything that coming out of China, waiting for turn to go through. And one of the things, let me show how quickly this thing can happen. The boat sitting down out there, it keeping its freezers running. That's a cost. If you think the shippers absorbing that cost because my uncle in Barbados or you know a junior in Barbados, you're fooling yourself. When them manifests get to Barbados, it can go on. Only last week I was discussing this, and just saying to him, boy, you know, you gotta brace yourself from this thing coming across. And automatically he showed me a manifest which said low water charges. The canal, I mean, and that's only the tip of the iceberg.
No.
Right? That's just the tip that we can see above the surface.
So you're saying the low water charges would be passed on from these, that what's going on in the Suez Canal right now, but then the charges that they're incurring there are passed on to us here?
It's gonna, of course it's passed on. You think the man running that ship, and even if you don't go through the canal and you take the long way around, that's fuel. That's the cost.
More diesel.
The ship are not absorbing that. So if he got on 1,000 containers and he paid 10,000, that 10,000 going to spread over the containers and end up at you and me. Simple as that. So we can go up with a little more coppers to cover that charge. Now, when we come back into the agriculture, and I said that to say this. When we come back into the agriculture sector, there's some people that will say, man, what that ain't got nothing to do with me. The war in Ukraine ain't got nothing to do with me. I got equipment that I got built in the Ukraine and it here. So don't say it don't affect us. But what's going to happen when we can't get the product? And of course, a simple thing is to listen to these supermarket people who are now saying the chain of supply. When they were accustomed to ordering 6 containers, they order the 6 containers, but you only get 3. Where does that put you? You're in trouble.
Serious.
It's trouble. Now, I would, that in itself, we understand that thing. Now, maybe that will force the powers that be to start to look at the local side of things. 9/11 happened, and I remember hearing, oh man, we can supply ourselves. I can supply yourself with food. If 9/11 had gone, the US food supply is for the US. Right? Now, had that escalated anymore, what would have basically happened is this. You can't get potato slip in the ground. Back when my grandmother would tell you about the wars and they could provide food from the fields, and the gold plantations were relegated to produce food. Such and such an acre was for food and yams and sweet potatoes. But if you're talking about food security now and the people who are doing some solid lettuce for Sunday food coming and sweet potatoes every time you pass by, well, you know, that's fine. When them boats don't come across with the food, how fast you can get a sweet potato to produce? By the time you got to plot the field,
right?
Get the slip, everything get the slip.
Right.
Now, my good buddy at Edgecombe doing up potatoes up there, but you can't go in the barn field. But even by the time you get the slip, plow the field, get the slip, put it in the production.
Water.
Oh Lord, and hope that you ain't hit drought then. All right, and you do get the potatoes. What are you going to eat between planting and production? What's happening in between there?
My grandmother would say, while the grass growing, the horse is starving.
Your horse dead. He ain't starving, he done dead.
Man, it can't be that bad, man. It can't be that.
I like to look at the worst case scenario of if they're talking about food security, and I've run into a few of the fellas, even from UE, some lectures and things where the guy could get up and talk about all these wonderful things of food security. But who feel it? No.
Serious.
Who feel it? No.
Serious.
I got he pantry with some cans of turkey and whatever else in there. But what happened with Mommy Jones, who got 4 children to the same school in the pantry and got a month's supply? You can tell she about food security too?
Yeah, no, we're going to use the word food insecurity. We're going to revert it.
We coming wrong. We coming wrong to that. And so I am saying, even though I mean, my hat off to all the farmers in Barbados. I have defended them to the hilt. But I remember Eric would have thing, grow food or perish. He had a van with that on the back.
Grow food or perish.
And we are at that stage now. You need to make sure you get production up. I am not talking of production for Christmas and for Easter and the farmers gearing up for the cricket. Only today I was telling one of the youngsters, go and get, we all computerized and everything else. But I said, listen, man, go get a calendar from any one of the places. My man put down the pertinent things that are coming up. You can grow for Christmas gone. You're producing food for Easter.
Right.
But of course, cricket is coming up. So that's another major event. I see you need to make a note on those things and prepare yourself, backtrack yourself from the day of the event or when be ready to meet the target. But I would put my neck on the block, and I would always say the farmers in Barbados, I have seen them step up to the plate time and time again.
Nice.
And I've always said, let farmers do what they are good at doing. Farming and producing. Now, I'm not downtrodden on the farmers. Hear that phrase, who and fork mentality. I don't talk, but who use it? It is Junior Phillips that coined that.
Say it again.
Hoe and fork mentality.
A hoe and a fork mentality.
Hoe and fork mentality in the agriculture sector. And that came into place because, and that was presented at one of the polytechnic graduations for agriculture. And I put that into there because I wanted to say to them, listen to me, agriculture is a profession. You go to the doctor and tell him, breathe in, breathe out. You think you're getting dead, you can pay him $200. But You tell the farmer, I your breadfruit tree, right, man, give me 6 of them breadfruit. What's the difference? He can't eat the money. He go eat breadfruit.
It's how we value. It's how we value the work of farming.
You
It's how we
have
perceive the value of farming.
you must perceive agriculture as a profession like every other profession. So don't think, I understand where the mentality about agriculture came about from our history and that kind of thing. And of course, people would say, man, get a job in the bank, get a job in this place, get a job in that place, right? Nobody is saying. Fortunately for me, I was born into it. I run boat with granddad behind cows. Well, I was so stupid that when he said, go and bring in the cows, you let go the cow and stand up in front of the cow and think the cow, but he can run over here because you know he's going into the shed to get feed.
Right.
So you just bear to the shed door before you nearly kill you. So I was born into this, right?
Well.
I don't pull the punches, and I say to people, don't come to me with foolishness. Either come, if I wrong, correct me properly.
Right.
Don't pull the wool over my eyes and try to think I get on bad. I'm very sorry about that.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Since you pulling no punches, if you clear that we are definitely not prepared, and that cost is always going to be passed forward to the consumer, and Barbados at this point we just be consuming everything. When you look at the supermarkets and the food that's been imported, and the bulk of food that we have been imported, would you say that it is, it is wise for us to continue to pay these higher costs in when it comes to the imported foods, as opposed to giving farmers maybe incentives and opportunity to take from that? How does the government approach that?
Let me try to
Tailor
tell you. Yes, tailor would be the right word.
Yeah.
Imports has been one of the things that have been, or the millstones that have been hung around agriculture, especially producers, for quite, just like pre-deal larceny, for quite a few years. In a particular sector, the buzzword is inconsistency of supply. And when we met with that sector and said, look, we are going to be able to produce such and such a crop for you, one of the things that would get thrown into your dish is inconsistency of supply. Right when we are going to need this, there's an inconsistency. But when the containers don't come in here with the baby carrots, it's do without them though. That's all I'm saying. And as far as I'm concerned, if we are laid out to produce, I might bring your baby carrots. But if you going to bring in 60, then give the local market 40. But the problem will come is that the product is going to come in and the importers will think, I ain't got the problem. I won't put an importer out of work. He got to feed the family and he got to send school the kids just like me.
Right.
But on the other hand, ICE is the one that got to plow the field. You got to go down on the tractor and prepare. You got to reap the crop. Recently, you see what happened. Then somebody come and reap your crop. So it's just about the time that you're going to make some money to sort out the kids, because the kids going back to school. But don't worry, I got a crop out there, melons or whatever it is. We should be able to get some money from that.
Right.
To put the children's school fees and cover X, Y, and Z. He has a family, he still got to live.
Right.
So if you're going to tell me you're going to bring in my baby carrots, and when I bring my bag of carrots at your back door, you're going to tell me, oh, we think, but don't worry. How are we going to feel? Huh?
I think that's part of the problem. I think that's part of the problem too. If you want to be truthful, we say yes to Peter Larson and whatnot. We know that people may come and try to reap from you before you actually get a chance to reap. But the truth is, sometimes when you go to the supermarket now with your produce and they want to make the comparison to what they bring in and want to give you accordingly, it's reality is The imported food is doing more theft from you as a farmer than the guy who trying to thing.
But it's not only the imported food. Emmanuel, when you go and put your lettuce in your garden and your beans, you know what you put into your beans?
Right, true.
When you bring in the boxes or etc., X crop, tell me what went into them.
You don't know.
But then people can talk about the communicable diseases. Explain that to me, then.
Well, see now, I think there's a country. Maybe you can correct me here if I'm wrong. It might be Singapore. I hate to reference Singapore because we always picking on poor Singapore. But one of those countries where you can't sell food that's been used with pesticides. The farmers are not allowed to bring food to the market that was sprayed. You can't bring it, and if they find out, they come and they literally destroy your entire field, throw it in the ditch, bury it. You can't sell it. Right. Because they recognize the correlation between the non-communicable diseases and the pesticides, specifically a few brands that we got here knocking about still, strangely enough.
I quite agree. But I'm saying I've advocated thing, they would always get the small farmer. When I was in the industry, it was 100 and something acres. And they would, they would say, but we can't compete with the big farmer. That's the thought we would think. But when you get an inch of rain or 2 inches of rain, I can't go in a field with a tractor. You can still get in your garden and dig out a few potatoes. And thing. I've been fortunate to have come up in this. And like any grassroots person growing up, I had the pleasure of roasting breadfruit like everything else, and when things were tight. But I never saw my parents, they might not have money per se, thing, but I was never hungry.
Serious.
There was always breadfruit, sweet potatoes, yams. So now my daughter, when I come and I say a thing, my daughter might push up her face, talking about when you're talking about them things, because they're now in the hamburger environment, or the I would say the fast food population.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I raised up on that and cow milk. I to this day I still love my cup of tea. Granddad would milk the cows in the evening, and I would have a lovely cup of tea in the afternoon. So that's the environment on which I grew up.
Right.
And right. We talk about the agriculture sector, and you see, agriculture is so intertwined with all the other sectors. My good friends on the thing talking about, these things you have to do. Well, when my grandpa had gone all up in 80 and 90 and everything is, even if he eat the sugar and that kind of thing, but you're burning it off during the day.
Yeah, it's true. He had that. It was an ecosystem. He would consume, he would burn.
He burn off of the energy.
So he wouldn't sit down just.
No. So my cup of tea and my sugar and everything else, but you're out in the field, you come home from school and you're running about and that kind of thing. So I'm saying we're integrated with all these sectors. If you talk about the sectors in Barbados, the tourism sector. We talk about agri-tourism and everything else. Every now and then it's got your little buzzword, agri-tourism and etc. and etc. and etc. When it suits certain people, it gets put by the wayside. And again, I will always back my farmers. I am so impressed when I go into the fields and see the farmers out there with the cabbages and the potatoes and etc. It means that they are doing what they have to do. It just means support. If you go to the ministry, you get the book and the rebates of the different rebates that you can get for doing certain things. But there's a lot more incentives that can be done for the farmers to push them ahead, keep them as professionals.
I was going to ask you that. You think there's sufficient enough being done through the ministry? And I just got to use the ministry loosely.
Yeah,
agriculture to secure farmers and incentivize farmers in terms of what they do going forward, knowing that they will have the help. Because I talk to a lot of farmers, and I hear one recurring theme, as if not enough is being done. Not enough is being done. Not enough is being done. If it ain't water they complaining about, it's something else. Not that they're not, I don't want to even say rebates, because take, for example, I can get a rebate on a hose, which we considered irrigation for my farm, but I can't get a rebate on a garden fork.
I'll tell you this, and some of my farmers and farmer friends will tell you, I don't ease them either. When I need to sell them, I go, I tell them, they get vexed, and I see it here at my place every day. Let me start here. Fella come in, Philip, I want to get some seedlings. All right, no problem. The seedlings not ready yet. I want them hardened for another week. Man, I could get them done and yaga. I said, listen to me. If I like it for myself, I like it for you. They are going to be ready 1 week from now. Well, of course, the goat there. They're going to go and tell Emmanuel, man, listen, Philip's man is a hard man. I only want 200 letters to do so and so. Right? So he would say that. Emmanuel didn't know me, and then who would know me would say, well, Philip didn't going to tell you that unless it was for a reason.
Right.
Philip might not know. So when he meet me, of course, they don't meet me because I tend to fit into the environment. So I've been in places and I hear people talk, coming here for seedlings, and I won't pick my teeth yet. That's their problem. That's yours. That got nothing to do with me.
Fair enough.
Next week, when the lettuce are ready, a farmer come and say, man, I like these. These look real good. The same farmer that for last week, you can come back now. Right. And come and say, man, them look good. Sometimes you gotta protect a fella from himself, right? So when we come back to the point, some farmers, and that's why I keep emphasizing, along with agriculture, we need to, education in the farm sector is the most critical thing you can do. And I say that to say this, and I've always advocated, take the more progressive farmers, and we have progressive farmers, Emmanuel. I am not crying down. If you come in here and you do foolishness, you can give me a bad name. So I can pull you across the coals up front. If it's embarrassing you, you can get embarrassed because you're not giving me no bad name. I spent much years in this sector, and if I see I got bad practices, I can tell you. Now, when we come back to the Ministry of Agriculture, the people that you work with itself is now going to be an issue because a lot of the people in the sector are now coming to the age to retire. I mean, you can, whether you like it or not, even if you're talking about the aging population in general, that's one thing. What happened with the people in the agriculture sector with the knowledge, right? Going home, what is going to happen when they go home?
Okay, interesting. Shout out to Mr. King, by the way.
Well, that comes back to the same thing about food security. I think
the people with the knowledge leaving and going home, who's going to pick up?
And we are now coming into a harsher environment for the sector because of climate change.
Exactly.
Hard environment now,
Exactly.
We could before gotten away a little bit because of the practices, and you gotta know your history before you repeat it. When we go back to granddad days and cane holes, and these old men working the tail off to dig out these holes. But then again, water retention. The animals putting the manure in the field, organic matter. The intercropping. What give me great joy in my heart, I can always tell when I go at an old-time farmer.
Mm-hmm.
He grown look sweet, sweet, sweet. He got some yams, and listen, if you want to take a tractor to an old-time farmer ground deploy, God
Right.
help, because you can't plot the whole ground.
You got this piece here, that piece there.
Yes, he said, man, man, don't know, no, cut up these 2 rows here, because he got some sweet potatoes on his side, and
Right.
cut it here. So when I go to a farm, when I go to a field, I go see a field, I know that's an old-time farmer, but he always produces. When he done produce some cassavas, he next crop maybe some sweet potatoes, and he still got some okras somewhere around above the house, some cherry tomatoes somewhere. You understand? But we've concord now to, so climate change would not have maybe affected him as badly. I think, but we are coming to a point now where, as you can see, just earlier this year and late last year, just high temperatures lick up everybody across the board.
Yes, that was an issue.
From the chicken man, so I ain't talking about only crop, and when I say farmers, I might probably be a little biased towards the vegetable side or the crop production because that's my forte. But with the high temperatures,
Chickens,
the cows, the milk, it affected everybody.
The heat affects the production of milk as well.
The cows, well, the cow is only a milking machine. And when the heat in the grass get dry, you can't carry that shit. You go eat grass. The grass is dry, so you can't put grass in the cow.
In the moisture in it.
The farmer that might be etching through because the rain fall upon some of his land so the grass can grow. All of a sudden, he was in trouble. So milk production gone down. I heard Mrs. Thing from the dairy sector, the association, see the problems that they're having. The heat can affect not only from production of calves. I mean, it is across the board. It's like painting it. We got lashed right across the board with a paintbrush.
Okay, so if we are paying attention and we say, well, look, we got the climate change affecting the farms. We have social engineering as far as foods importing and farmers not getting a fair deal in most cases at the market and causing them to not want to plant as much as they would normally plant. And you got other elements affecting it, whether through larceny or whatever other means.
Yeah.
How do we prepare then ourselves as a people, saying, well, look, rather than sit down and wait for the project in layers to get off the ground officially or unofficially, officially, how do we then position ourselves? How do we inform people? How do we get the people to be more aware to take farming to another level? The backyard area farming, I think, the backyard area farming, I think, is misunderstood. You can't farm your backyard to feed your whole family. Again, while you waiting for the food to come, you still got to eat. And if you do get a harvest, is that enough to last into the next harvest? Or, so how do we get the knowledge to the people to take farming and the idea of food and security a lot more serious? How do we get that message across?
In quotes, education of the issue would be the bigger thing. And when I say education, the issue, I am talking about driving home the fact, using all the media. But before I go there, Emmanuel, let me tell you something. Let me talk about our agriculture in itself. I'll tell you one of the things about agriculture. You can't get up in the morning and decide I can be a farmer, I don't be and plant yams. And that's what's kept some farmers with the pants down around the ankles. In the agriculture sector, the driving force is the market. So I've seen some fellas get up and last week tomatoes were $7 a pound. Fella says, see me, man, them farmers making money.
Okay.
I'm going to plant tomatoes. And he gone and he put in an acre of tomatoes. let me tell you how easy it is to flood the Barbadian market, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the I spent about 27 years in the industry, and my plantation was a cross between sugarcane and the normal food crops, the yams and the potatoes and that kind of thing. I had the opportunity to do tomatoes, the FA 38 tomato project on the Zahalka Ahmad out of Israel. Mm-hmm. To this day, I am forever grateful to him. He came in from Israel. And you see, it's the mindset. I did not have water on my place, so I could do the crops. And like I said, yams, you put in, misspell yams, backward is me.
Right.
You can't do that now, you know. Because when May come, the rain and falling. So what I could have done back then, and say, well, look, get the yams ready, fellas. We can stick in these yams and that kind of thing. Don't risk that chance. Don't take that chance now. Because the yams can go in the dry ground, and you're going to be in trouble. So I was a little thing. Then I had Zahalka Ahmad, right? When I had Zahalka Ahmad, he came in and he asked me this question. Do you want to make a lot of money one time, or do you want to get a little bit of money all the time? Why an idiot? I want a little bit of money all the time. Because if I get the money in January, I ain't got none, and they're none available for February, March, April, May, and June, I'm in trouble.
Right.
That statement he wanted to hear. Over a period of time on that project, I moved from fully larger percent sugarcane and yams and sweet potatoes. And at one point, I had the place almost 50% of the plantation was growing tomatoes. And I talking about growing tomatoes continuously, not this month and not next month. So it meant we put in tomatoes every 2 or 3 weeks. So when I start to reap, I'm not reaping and stopping.
It's a site, right, over a period of time.
I'm just telling you this to show you how you can, the market itself is not that big. It was 3 of us, Polly Kinch, Hopewell, and myself. And just 3 foolish plantations. And not all the plantation, different fields. And by the time we started to put, of course, using the Israeli techniques and that kind of thing, like that thing, he could grow plants on a big rock, Israeli style. And that's what I'm saying. Education is the key to the whole thing. Even at that point, I was skeptical because I said, man, she's so unbright. Suppose this thing fail, but my boss can fire me. My place, I'm growing these crops. Actually, for me, the technique was sung, and I was able to grow the crops and produce tomatoes. What I would tell you is this. Just a minute. I got a screen just came up there, just trying to get it out of the way. Folks shutting down. Right. And between us, Barbadians tomatoes went down to almost 50 cents a pound.
Wow.
Because of the growing technique.
There were so many tomatoes, basically.
Exactly. But I wasn't bothered because it also meant that the average Barbadian could have tomatoes on the table.
Right. Nice.
All through the week.
Nice.
But just a small fraction of producers could control the price and the market. So it takes very little. If you put 2 good and growing like how we were growing back to back every single week, you're putting in seedlings that when you start to reap and you go, if you could bring in tomatoes in crates that the tractor sometimes couldn't even get out the field.
Wow.
So you went in. Well, on my
fresh.
Yeah, but it meant onward supply to the hotel sector and everybody else that was doing the different things. That's what it meant. So it only shows you it don't take a whole lot to flood this market, and that's why I say agriculture. When you are agriculture, the first thing you need to deal with is the market. You get the market sorted out. You can sort out that market. The farmer can meet the target. We did it for the tomatoes. I see everybody now come up talking about export this and export that and all kind of foolishness. We exported hot peppers to the UK. We sent yams back in Grandad there. Yam export didn't just come up. I was a little boy, I made up yam crates, a little wooden crate that came flat, and you made them up in the field, and the yams were cleaned and the crate closed down. The older fellas would know what I mean.
Wow. A wooden crate?
A wooden crate with a slat in the middle, because obviously they were going by boat. So back then we were exporting, not now. So in my time, that was Granddad time, he was yams. Them yams used to eat a foolish yam when they come in. You come home from school and you warm right on the back of the thing, the cart and thing, and have fun. But them yams, when you come in the night, yams itching here all over the place. So by the time I came into the sector and was dealing with that, we exported yams and we sent out potatoes by ship to the UK. We sent yams to the UK. Hot peppers went by air, by British Airways. They left here. They were prepared. They left here this evening, and by tomorrow morning, the 8 hours up, they were in the UK market. Now, so that's what I'm saying. You're talking about the market requirement. Now, I've been fortunate to go into the UK, to go to UK farms, farm markets, which you go out at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning and see some ugly yams. I can even mention where they were grown, but they're the ugly yams. Selling for a bunch of things. If you check currently now, ask your friends in the USA and the UK how much they pay for breadfruit, and you hold your head.
Wow.
So you understand.
Give me a ballpark. Give us a ballpark, roughly.
When I go into anything in the States and I see a man paying $10 for breadfruit,
I see they advertise we buy breadfruits now. I don't think they want to export, but they buy them for $1 locally.
Well, they breadfruit bowl business. I only told a friend of mine this morning, I don't want breadfruit, but they had in the meat or the tomatoes inside. So she assured me she can get that cultivar for me. So when I get it, you would get the breadfruit bowl from me, ready made.
Okay.
What I said for the market is that the market, we gotta look for the market.
Basically,
freight is going to be input. Listen, that is going to be a thing now, but the logistics of that has to be worked out. So if you can keep the farmers doing those things, and I'm not saying hot peppers, the yams, the things that could go, and those were the 3 that we exported in my time. And I was able to send potatoes, get the digger and dig potatoes and ship out potatoes, literally to meet the targets. Now, if we come back home to the food security side of it, we also need to, you're not going to be able to store a sweet potato that long. But if something happened and you had the next field ready, as you can see at Edgecombe with Mr. Mears there. So much people in them potatoes, and recently now food scarce. When you see a sweet potato field open, I just had one open by me here, over some by Applewood side. And when I was using the shortcut to get away from the traffic, I never see so much cars. The fanciest cars I see up in the mud. All the normal kind of man saying car my car up in there, but he up in there digging sweet potatoes. So I only show you the demand and supply side of it.
So what does that say though? I mean, does that indicate to us that people are now recognizing the importance of going back to the source and accessing it versus waiting for it to come out the field and then paying.
I would say definitely yes. I've been recently seeing things like the potatoes. I think they're going back now more to the ground provisions. What the old people, the granny would say, the ground provisions, the yams and things. And it is very encouraging. Let me tell you how good it is now. Even if you ain't got a fork, there's always somebody by the field that will dig a rod for you for $5 or $10.
Seriously.
So, yeah, so even if you come,
show up and you could be good to go.
Somebody's going to be there with a fork. You say, man, listen, I ain't got no fork. And man, somebody will dig the rod for you for $5 or $10. So I think Barbadians are now becoming sensitized. All Barbadians are now becoming sensitized to the ground food side of things. The importance of the farmer per se, but there is a lot more that can be done.
Well, give us some ideas, because I wanted to share a document too. Give us some ideas in terms of, again, because I was saying to a pastor one time, you know, we have these big fancy churches and everybody getting church Sunday morning. I said, well, wouldn't it be nice if the magic pastor said, well, look, we're gonna start having church service twice a month. The other 2 Sunday mornings, we can look for a field near us. We're gonna invest in some land near us. And rather than getting in church Sunday morning and allegedly, well, praising God or whatever they do in church, because I don't go Sunday morning. I don't have a clue what goes on there Sunday morning. But rather than go to that, what if they go in the field instead and sing some hymns and chant some prayers while they still pull up some grass and plant some slips and make it a real community kind of effort to really, you know, take this food thing serious.
I think we're taking it serious, you know, because of what I do here. I find there are a lot more people are now procuring seedlings from here. In setting this up, I've always said, if you come here and you come back and tell me.
Tell us, by the way, tell us where it's here exactly for those who are interested.
The operation is Phillips Trading and Farming Services. And the name of that is because of the farming. So I've never come out of agriculture. Resigning from the sugar industry and coming home, I never came away from it. I could probably die in here. I was born in it. I can die in it, huh? Over there from time to time. Not a whole lot of time, but I then realized, look, I think this is the area that you're going to got to make your input into. And in doing this, when we set up this here, the farming services is broadbanded, because I still visit farmers to see how they're doing. We got tractors that still provide cultivation services and that kind of thing for them. Because I put it this way, if I produce any seedlings for the farmer and he can't get the ground plow, if he can't get the plow to get the seedlings, then I can't send the seedlings to him.
Point taken.
I added that. Now that comes at a cost. It may be easier to get a brand new car. Let me say car. Don't call them the brands. To say I want 2 brand new tractors and things. Unfortunately, the agriculture sector is again considered sometimes the third cousin removed in the family. And that is, I can ask, if you think let somebody come and refute that to me, you could go and tomorrow morning you want a new car, you could probably drive it by maybe Wednesday. I wouldn't even say Friday. Right? You could do that. Go and tell them you want brand new tractor. And then you can see the hoops you gotta jump through before you get that tractor for you.
That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen like that.
Exactly. You gotta jump through a little more hoops to do that. So that's what I'm saying. It's always being considered. And you can come and talk about the farmers and keeping records. Listen, some farmers might not keep records, right? But that's baloney. There are progressive farmers that got just as good programs on their computer to do their accounts and that kind of thing. I will say this, and I think this is what's also needed in the thing, and I realized it. Don't let me say accountant, But if from an accountant-based side of things, you could get people to deal with the financial side of the thing. Let farmers do what they do best. Farm.
I
Farm
agree.
in the field from 6 o'clock this morning till 6 o'clock tonight. And then he come in at 6 o'clock to sit down to put things in a computer. You're talking foolishness. The man third. And he out there maybe all like no because of insect licking up the crop. So he may be out there trying to spray the crop. Or he checking to see if slugs and snails eating them down.
And that's the worst.
Let farmers do what they do best. He may be fortunate and got a wife who can handle that part of it. So in a win-win situation. But if he ain't as thing that, then that way that a farmer will fall behind. So
yeah, I mentioned that. I mentioned that in terms of the ministry, in terms of the new software online, and filing your receipts and this kind of stuff online. I say farmers, the average farmer may not have the time or even the ability to go online and upload the receipts for the
you need
equipment.
You need a service or whatever service. That is a service that financial people can offer to those farmers. If a farmer know that, when you got the bills in the bank, it's called that shoebox accounts.
Right.
But even if you get third-party people who will come in, that can come into the farm, and again, I can state this. Don't come to the farm and tell you about the consultancy. Because I notice a lot of that creeping in as well. Everybody that come up to a farm is now a consultant.
A consultant.
A consultant. And he come out and he says, oh, well, yeah, I could do that for you. $1,500 a month. Just and then a month I come in and saying, well, look, come, I can work with you. Now, if you come and work with the farmer and build up the farmer, that $1,500 a month is negligible because the return on the investment, fine. But come on the man farm or foolish Phillips man and tell the man, look, check this fella, he might be able to help you. Then I get a phone call. Man, the fella went by me, Phil. And whether you're doing something even like Thomas or whatever it is, then you're telling the man $1,500 in. You're the financial man. You want them, you can look at man books. And by the time you do an assessment, say a 1 month assessment, you say, well, look, the most you making here is you might hit a cabbage crop and got $10,000. But last 3 months before he spent 30.
Right.
So then you come and tell him, oh, well, he could do that and make 10,000. My bill is, those are the things you gotta look at. So if you ask me, what do we do to make sure we think is get the farmer on the top of the game, get the farmer to be on his A game. Deal with the marketing. The farmer won't let you feel to go out back at the body supermarket door to deliver nothing. Let the man farm. If we get together and got Walmart with the truck and say, pass by me, pick up the yams, pick up the sweet potatoes, and do not, I know next you can come and tell me about cooperatives. I know that's where you're coming.
No, I have my own reservations with that.
I ain't got no problem with cooperatives, but when I go into cooperatives, I also tell them how I think you're going to be cooperative, and yes, cooperatives will work, but that need to also put the same thing in place. There are a few cooperatives that work, but you can go into the cooperative and keep telling me that I can produce 10 pounds of potatoes. I can't raise to the level that I know producing 5,000 pounds of yams. You've got to start to push the envelope. A particular friend of mine years ago suggested we would put a farmer's market in the Pine Basin. And I know he got laughed at. I see a market working quite well, same plan, and it works quite well. I call no name, no blame, no longer. So if you're going to say as a cooperative and you can start to. My dad would always say, reach for the sun, and when you miss it, you're going to hit the moon and then you're going to hit the clouds. But aim high.
Aim high.
So you need to get out of the mentality of you're going to keep producing beds of carrots all the time. You should be able to come to the point and add value to it. Start out with 10 beds. You may work yourself to 10 acres, but then you're going to go and shed that. The hawkers will come and say, well, look, I want so much carrots Friday. There are some farmers like that here in Barbados now. So don't get me wrong, but I want to bring up the whole baseline. And the differentiating thing is between the backyard farmer and a real farmer is that backyard farmer he can go to work tomorrow morning and do it the 4 job.
Regular, right? He has something to sustain him in the interim.
He has a buffer, a real farmer, and he can get his salary any month. A real farmer got to make his salary by the any month.
The difference.
That's all I'm saying.
Big difference.
Big from my so a backyard farm said, man, you know, I put in some tomatoes, man, and they do well. And I put in some cabbage and they do well. Understand? He might go I think at the supermarket and he said, man, farming, man, make money. But you ain't looking that you can get a check any month. With the farmer, just if the farmer get the crop and a disease hit the crop, what can happen? So, you know, it is a catch-22 situation. I will continue to back the farmers. I would say continue to, even in the food security industry, you gotta give the man something to aim towards. You get up every morning, something will keep him motivated to go in the field. As you know, I might put in tomatoes yesterday. Let me go there this morning and see if I can plant the rest. And the man, they're looking good because he sprayed them and I kept it in time. The fellow with the onions, blast wait till Friday evening, just as you're ready to go home. And you pass that on your field and smell them, you know the blast. Yeah, go home, you gotta go and get the cop in the tractor or get your spray can on your back, or by tomorrow morning you're going in the field, you see the wet spot all down the onion leaf. You don't even are the only sector. I could go and get a bond and put $100,000 in the bond. Lock me during the evening. I'm gonna open it tomorrow morning. It's still got $100,000 in goods unless somebody thief it last night. Agriculture, I left the things in the field pretty larceny, but it hit me. All right, that's no problem. But a disease can come around and hit you too.
Yes, anything.
So you're so open to the environment and the problems. The risk factor is so high.
Rain, flood. No, I that's what I'm saying. So we have all the different elements that affect farmer and farming, and yet food security should be our priority, which means that farmers should have everything they need at their disposal, pretty much, to do the work efficiently and effectively, as smoothly as possible.
That is the plan. You can get the roads that in the sector, but you can weed them out, and no problem. You can get a fella that, even if you could go out there and make arrangements and tell the fella, listen, I want you grow 10 acres. So I don't think because I'm on here in the sector, talking about the sector, that I can let a fella in the sector get, you know. You tell him, listen, I got a market and I want you to grow an acre of cucumbers for me. The problem, he grow the thing, and just about the time he can reap the cucumbers, cucumber price going through. All the rest of the time it at $1 a pound or 30 cents a pound. But just as the thing reach maturity, you know, the cucumbers belong to you, you know, because you got the market. Then all of a sudden the supermarket paying $6 a pound. And then he take up the cucumbers and go on and get up to the supermarket. So I don't think that because I am here, I think I've been there and I see it. So I know where who feel it, know it.
Okay.
What I'm saying is if you give them the incentives. Well, the thing is, there are incentives there. A typical point which we got to do just now is water harvesting. When I hear this whole issue of water and that kind of thing, you want interesting incentivize farmers, get them on tanks, harvest, rain. That if you want to get them, those are the things you got to do. Now, when you do what you got to do, but when the dry season hit, a man in trouble. Now, and of course, recently I would have heard the thing between waterworks and the thing and coming out and understand this and understand it carefully. Water is for municipal use.
Right.
And when the belt tighten around your waist, agriculture goes to the back burner. It is for your consumption first, then farming. So don't get tired. So when I hear farmers say to me, man, the water truck will come down and thing. But let me tell you, buddy, at a point come with the water trucks thing, it is the water trucks coming to the house that your children can get water in your hospitals and other facilities first. So if anything, God forbid anything happen, if we got to keep sending water for municipal use, think I come in to see you carrots, or I care if you got letters drying up. So you understand what I'm saying? Now again, I put that ball in the farmer's yard. You need to you gotta start thinking. And I would only say in harvesting water and that kind of thing, you need to look at things like tanks, find a supplier overseas, that kind of thing. There are a few fellas that start to do it and bring in tanks and that kind of thing. But again, some of the farmers are worthless. You have no thing, and I am pulling back that statement because when things going good, all is well. And then when the dry season, when you think the tank's more expensive, in the dry season, supply and demand.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But you ain't gonna think that when the rain going good and you got a little $2,000, he could
Put
scrape
down a couple times. Shout out to roll of plastic, by the way. Got to give roll of plastic some love, shout out for sure.
So that's what I'm saying. But don't come in the dry season and tell me, man, my crop dry up. My ceilings here, I can't let these here things. So when I started out, many nights the rain falling out in the rain, trying to make sure that the water going in tanks and again behind wet.
You're collecting water.
Every drop of water I catch will carry me a little further down to make sure I can get seedlings ready for the farmer. I could go and buy I gotta go and buy a BMW like everybody else and a nice car. But my thing is I understand the system and I understand what we need to put into this system. So
I think that's what it is, knowing what is needed rather than sitting back and waiting to be given permission or told what to do, recognizing what is needed and just fill in that gap.
You gotta take the lead sometimes. You got to take the lead. Your eyes open. I like a big idiot on the road. And if I see a fella with a tank, I say, listen, what's the status here? I think they were thinking about getting rid of it. So rather than take a cruise on a boat and distress myself, before my system shut down, I said, but I could wait. Make arrangement, get that tank at me.
Buy a
and
tank.
I feel real sweet when the rain falling and I see the water off the roofs going in the tank, or I see that tank overflow. But in my mind, I then said, well, look, you know what? Why there's another 6,000 gallons here. So, that's why I'm saying, I ain't saying that all farmers or anybody in the agriculture sector should do that. I might be conditioned to take the licks. Right? But again, in this sector, as a farmer, you still got your family to look out for. You still got to take a little vacation, you know what I mean, with your family. So it is the social aspect of it, the physical aspect of it. It's a wide umbrella. Agriculture is one of the widest sectors to work in. It has so many facets to it that you can't put your finger on any one sector that integrated. whether it be agronomy, the integrated and the farmer himself, you gotta be the doctor. Especially you got animals, you gotta be a doctor. You gotta be a piece of lawyer yourself. You gotta be a marketer.
You got to have it all. The farmer has to have it all, but yet he's not given the respect he deserves.
And you need the motivation. As far as I'm concerned, I've always said take the progressive farmers out of the environment and let them see and become motivated. And I've been fortunate to be able to go with state farmers to the Royal Show in England. My boss said to me, if you're in agriculture, you don't go and see the agriculture. It's now being downgraded from as big as it was. But if you don't go to that show once in your life, then you're in the sector. I've gone about 3 times. I've taken
What do you call it?
the Royal Show. It is now, I think it is. I'll look it up and get it. But it's one of the premier agriculture shows in the UK. And why I said the UK by economy is scale, we are as close to the UK as against the US. In other words, you could kind of shut your eye a little bit and say, send a tractor out the UK and get pretty close to a unit that we could use here. On the US, but on the other hand, you could order a tractor and it can't get out the port. So if you know,
why not? Let me ask that question.
you could probably maybe look. Well, we got the internet back then. We had the internet,
Right,
so I like to say, man, I got this tractor would just suit your environment. And then when you get to port and see it, you probably gonna move it out of there 2 o'clock in the morning to get it onto the farm. But it would go onto the farm and work. Don't get me wrong. But you won't be able to run up and down the road with it. So in the US, is Sandal in Tifton, Georgia. Another fantastic one of the US premier agriculture shows. And you need to go to that show almost saying I kept advocating let the farm when you can take a vacation, not that you can take a vacation per se, but if you take a little break from the farm and the wife running the farm, let them go up to Sandal. You go in there and see the newer equipment, things that you doing home, mundane tasks that machinery is now being developed. And agriculture, I would not even come to this point and say mechanization in this sector. Even these sectors become very, very mechanized. Gone are the days. Well, of course, like I said, look at the harvesters. Harvesters reaping the cane, right? The potato diggers digging, but there's a lot more mechanization out there. It's true. Something you have to be very careful from just taking the technology and bringing it here. Sometimes you got to bring it as close that can work in our environment and then modify it to suit us because of the heavy clays and the calcareous soils that we have.
Right.
So that's all I am saying. But I would say, you know, sometimes you're doing something all the time and you think you're up on your A game. But then you leave and go into another environment and realize, man, it isn't your game. And you come back and you strive to bring up your standard. So those are the things that I've constantly been advocating for. You want to do that? Let the ministry, I don't know what else thing, but let pick the farmers. They're going to pick the thing. Not a fella only going for the European right.
Right. Somebody that's serious.
Pick serious and progressive farmers. Take them there and let them see. This is the latest and thing. The last time I went to the show in Georgia, I see so much new development and so much new tractors. The 3 major tractors in Barbados was Massey Ferguson, Ford, and John Deere. Those were the 3. I went to the show and I see tractors. I say, where this come from? So there was so many choices. But you then began to see the choices. I've heard small farmers here crying out. They haven't got room for a big tractor, but they want maybe a small, like similar to the tractor behind me, a smaller Kubota that would, by economy of scale, would do what he wants. So those are the areas you need to go and look at.
True.
If you pick up the Chinese market, China doing it, then you go in there now and you try to, but that's a only when you look good and realize where it look like a Ford, it sound like a Ford, don't necessarily be a Ford, and it might be cheaper. So that's why I'm saying, let me send it to China, I ain't care. That's what it needs. Go to the sector and see what's available, see the things that being developed, the diggers. Everything may not work for our environment, but you pick out the ones that you know with some modifications could work good for us. And that's where you go look at. And I think that is the way of ensuring if I get the 1 acre man with a little tractor, he can keep the 1 acre lot on the production. And then I get the 10 acre man or the 10 acre or 20 acre man might not need to buy a tractor if he can get the services there. But then he might not want a big 4-wheel drive. He might want the big fancy tractor to dig up the ground, and then he could probably use his smaller tractor to do his fern, bring the crops out to the field, maybe his spraying. But if we could, don't get me wrong, I ain't marking for nobody. If China had the tractor to do it, and we know a lot of them are built on the certified markets now. It's not like, let's try. But I mean, if you inspected it and it would fit our mark in a 10-cent bolt, not going to make you put it in the garage thing, because a lot of us like the internet now. We go and see it, look real good on the internet, and when it comes, a piece of rubbish. So do due diligence. If you can spend that kind of money to buy a tractor, you can buy a plane ticket and go and look.
Yeah, serious.
That's it. Now, if the ministry want thing, then let the ministry do the business thing. If you somebody do the business,
that's good. That sounds good.
But that's the things that these sectors could do. But I don't know how to put the things in place. But me personally, when I need something, I go in and I mean,
you might be in a position to do that.
But that's what I'm saying. I might be in a position to do it, but everybody might not be, which means that's where the military will come into play. But it means there's a department there that would need to look at that. Send them down to China and let them report back. I've always said in every one of our consulates, we should have an agriculture person.
I totally agree. Totally agree. In the interest of time, I post the link for this article. I think it's in the comments both on Facebook and YouTube. I think it's important that for those who are interested, food security in the Caribbean and policy perspective. The reason why this is important is because, again, we in this together as one Caribbean. We definitely in this together. So I'm going to encourage folks to. The link is there. It's in the comments. Maybe I'll post it again. Let me see. Hang on a second. Let me see if I could pull this up. I'll post it again. It's a small PDF. You can always download it. Easy read. And you can go ahead and take a look at it and see. Let me on YouTube. There it is on YouTube as well. The link is there. You can go ahead and check it out. The reason why I said this is important is because, like I said, is you can't wait. Like the brother kept saying, don't wait. So then you gotta take the lead. You can't sit back and just wait to be given instructions on what you should and shouldn't do. As far as if we ready for food or food security or food insecurity, well, the answer is no. We ain't ready. We not nowhere near ready. No. But it does not mean that you cannot do your role. Your part. It doesn't mean that you or your people have a conversation. You know, despite the rally and the horse race and all the other things we find to talk about, just answer questions. You know, what's your thoughts on this? And what can we do collectively to make a difference? I think if everybody had the mindset of making some small difference in some capacity, that over a period of time, I trust that we'd be able to achieve something great and reach a point where we may be able to actually find ourselves being more involved in the idea of food security and not just looking at it as are we ready or are we not ready, but rather what can we do to make a difference? Brother Phillips, I want to say thank you personally for taking your time to come on Politically Incorrect to have this conversation. The whole idea was let's have a conversation, share some thoughts. Maybe it'll inspire some folks. You know, far it may or may not go. The idea, however, is that like farming, when you plant the seed, it's up to the elements now to bring it out the ground. So we have planted the seed tonight. I would even go as far as saying part one, because
I was about to tell you, you can call upon me. One quick input I will give you before I go is this. I've heard also people talking about youth in agriculture, and I would tell you this: it is on a very positive step. Between Poly, community college, like, I have seen some people come through the system that are now in the system, whether in the schools teaching. I am very happy to say I never back people talk about young people this and young people that. And I come to almost nearly every school in Barbados, and they would either be a graduate or started through the Poly, then community college, and into Trinidad and back. And they're in schools teaching. I've noticed that a lot of these schools are now having the gardens and
yeah.
the sector. That is very, very progressive as we speak. But there's going to be a gap in there between the older sector that are moving out.
Right.
So I think we need to fast track. I don't know how, but we're going to need to fast track this thing and get it up to speed that people are in there. Because, I mean, they're coming in new, but they're going to need to align them alongside the ones that are going out.
I agree. I
For the
agree.
carry forward.
Totally.
And I am the younger, for instance, one of the things I found happening is they're computer savvy. And so they're now more comfortable sitting in the office.
There's
And
ways.
we can come up, if you mention things like drones, look at drones, I guarantee within, well, not within, they're here.
Check that
But
right.
start to deal with drones and things for farming, we behind by fellas taking up drones that are no computer control and steering field. They fall out in the sky.
That's
Again,
true.
see how the factor is saying, man, a drone can do this and thing, and nobody has looked at the sector and see the fellas in overseas areas using drones for spraying,
Drone
using
technology.
surveillance. You see what I'm saying? You
Yes.
paint drone with a paintbrush. Then the ministry need to pull out of that all of you that get paint with the paintbrush and say, listen, not a problem we all do, but we need these for
Right.
the
Agree.
agriculture. And
Agree.
these youngsters that I'm talking about is going to be able to come in and all this thing. If I get in any office and the drone out there doing what we need to do. So that's all I'm saying.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree. And we would have been advocating for that as well. Shout out to Fade, by the way. There are people who are progressively thinking and putting things in motion. You said, rather than waiting for permission or asking for permission, it might
No,
be easier to ask for forgiveness. Let's just continue to move forward. you know, I
if
want
you
to thank you. I want to thank you, Julian Phillips, personally, for sharing. Again, anything come horticulture, it's a
no,
passion.
not a
It's
problem at all. And
so
I guess you can always put me to be continued.
to be continued. Want to shout out to all the farmers for sure. 'Cause like I said, there are people doing a lot of good stuff in Barbados. I see it myself. Shout out to Brother Smith and Brother Ford that I know personally. And
Yeah.
I mean, what got me into farming was Mr. Ward. So you always got to shout out Mr. Ward, Warrior
He,
Rod.
one of my mentors when I came into
Cannot,
this.
cannot not shout out Mr. Ward and talk about farming. It's impossible. The Governor General of Farming for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks again, brother, for coming. And like I said, to be continued.
To be continued.
To be continued. Yes, give thanks. Folks, we do it. We'll be right back in, what is it, 5 seconds there? Yes. You know what they say, man? Time flies when you're having fun. At least that's what they say. That's what they tell me all the time. But
real news for the people in real time.
Politically incorrect. All I can tell you is that imagine people start having this conversation about farming and planting and going in the backyard. And listen, I love cooking. There's no food I ever cooked that's ever as sweet as the one when I pick from the yard and I go to the farm and I bring home some goods, some crops, and I put it all together and I do one of my famous all in one. Listen, you ain't want nothing with my all in one when I take the stuff that you actually grow. For some reason, it just tastes better. I don't know why. Well, for me, it tastes better. I gotta ask my children and see what they say, but they always tell me, yeah, For some strange reason, they always tell me, yeah. But anyhow, I love them. But I want to say two things quick. For what time is it? Let me see. Okay. I want to say two things really quick before we go. I know that, like I said, it's a lot of discussions from a lot of political perspectives. And there's a Bible verse that says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And I've been saying this on this program for quite some time. I mean, I've heard a few brothers talk about it in passing, and I don't think I hear enough of it. But what I do hear is a lot of accountability being asked for. And let me say this without apology. Barbados is a plantocracy. And that's just what it is. It came out of the colonial past. We already know the history. We all know it. We have been told it going and coming. We reminded of it every so often this year. Sorry, this month of this year, or this month in the year rather, February, what they call the Black History Month and whatnot. And they always tell us, the story of enslavement and how it happened. What we fail to realize, however, is that the system is working perfect. The way things are happening, the way Miss Motley is running things, the way the banks are functioning, the supermarkets, even the issue with the food and farming seem to be becoming a bit obsolete. It's not by chance. This is what they want. This is how this designed. Now, we have basic options. Yeah, they're going to sit down, complain about it. You can you try to make a difference. Are you going to recognize that, like Brother Philip said, take charge. Just take charge rather than sit down and ask for something to be done. Just get up. Why ask for someone to do something for you that you could do for yourself? Just get up and just make it happen. This thing with the cyber bill, if they do this, they're going to take away your privacy and all these other. Look, privacy's been gone. It's an illusion that we have privacy now. It's just an illusion. We think this is real. This isn't real. We've been lost, all of that. I mean, there's cameras everywhere. We have them on our phones. We have them on our devices. I mean, everywhere we turn, the street lights, the supermarkets, the outside, the pool, the bus, even the bus got. There is no privacy. All you could do is be mindful. And as far as free speech is concerned, well, this might sound a bit far-fetched. But the idea that if you speak truth to power, it may land you in hot water. Just be mindful, right? That there was a time in our experience as a people that even to speak out against what we call the overseer could have landed you with a noose rather, around your neck by sundown. It wasn't no due process. It wasn't no human rights. It wasn't none of that conversation. It was, this is legal. This is law. There's a book called Without Sanctuary. I mentioned it before in passing. If you get a chance, Google it and take a look. It's called Without Sanctuary. I want us to understand that what we are asking these people to realize and take serious and give us our rights to do this and do that. They don't have to do that. They do as they please when they feel free. The question is, what are you going to do about it if that time should ever come? Now, we could think that by making it seem as we are uncomfortable with the idea that they won't do that and they'll do something else instead. I think one of the things we need to realize is that only slaves ask permission. Only slaves. Free men and free women don't ask permission. Divine beings, creatures created in the image of God, answer only to the authority of God. And we deal with the governance of God. That's in what the book we call the Bible, for example. Let me just use that loosely, the morals and the principles. And we function on that. And once we follow those principles, we good. Because if someone seeks to come into your home and do you an injustice at some point, you have two options. You either going to bow down and comply, or you're going to stand up firm and you're going to stand up, and whatever consequences come, you're going to have to deal with it accordingly. But let us stop playing this game that we keep asking the system to conform to our will. And every 5 minutes, the system seemingly conforms to our will. It's starting to make the system look like it's empathetic. Well, I'm hearing the cries of the people, and therefore I'm going to comply. I've heard your cries, and we're going to comply. The farmer, speaking of farming, is the same individual that feeds the turkey before Thanksgiving. I just want y'all to remember that. And despite the fact that the turkey might be asking for more feed, and he may even get more feed, the farmer is looking at Thanksgiving and thinking, I can't wait. Just food for thought. Free men and free women don't ask permission. We do what we have to do. And we are governed by the laws of the universe, so we do what is righteous at all times, man. There's no injustices taking place. There's no wrongdoings not being recognized or being spoken on. And we deal with them accordingly. And we teach our children accordingly. And that's the kind of society we want. One is governed by the rules of the Almighty, what we call God. I mean, we even use the word religion to some degree. But what is just for all? What's just? As far as what these folks are doing, as far as they're concerned, every week there's some new bill saying something. Every bill they write, you're losing something. Guaranteed. So the question is, where do we draw the line? As far as I'm concerned, my lines are drawn in the soil when I planted my seeds. Because once you could feed your family, that's your priority number one. Feed your family. Make sure you could feed the family. Because what good is a bill if nobody don't have no food? Just asking for a friend. Anyhow, family, it was a really good night. I just wanted to touch on that briefly because I'll be asking me, what do you think with this new bill? They going, you can't go in there and speak freely no more. I can't speak freely. Who's going to stop me from speaking? Like, who's going to stop me from speaking? You know, if they decide to bring a law and say this is what it is, well, we do that when that time comes. But if you can't handle the consequences of your actions, you can go and consider perhaps making a different choice. That's all it is. But for me, I don't care what bill they write. That doesn't apply to me. It doesn't apply to me, you know, full stop. But nevertheless, I going to play my tune again. Like I said, plant up the farm. She said plant up the... I love this tune here. This tune right here. This tune right here. I don't know. Something about this tune here, man.
It is for those who will enjoy till the end. Till the
end, man.
Some try to lead you astray. Seek wisdom from today, my friend. My friend. They're crying food.
The beginning, man. They're crying food shortage. I got to pull this from the beginning, family. Okay,
the race they got us with, it is for those who will enjoy till the end. Till the end. Some try to lead you astray. Seek wisdom from today, my friend. My friend, they're crying food shortage and things are getting dread in the rain. Yeah, hey, hey. Don't let it get in your head, man. Don't only live by bread, but by the word.
Live by the word
That's
of God,
what
man.
He said. Put on your armor, trot along. Become a farmer, plant up all the land. Don't let time go to waste. Every day make a way. Grow food and garden.
They were the plan.
Plant cassava, green banana, mango, cocoa, and sweet potato. Sour, turmeric, herbs, ginger, moringa.
Yes.
Corn and breadfruit, strawberry, veggie provisions, and all kinds of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and prosper. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper. And as the plants they grow, we grow in same way. New mercies, fresh every day, with time, sun, and rain, and energy. The plants they will thrive, and we shall reap the bounty.
We eating energy, family.
Don't be a slave to the system.
Don't be a slave.
Renew your mind daily.
He said, don't be a slave to the system, man.
Plant cassava, green banana,
plant food, man. Plant food.
Mango, cocoa, and sweet potato, sour, turmeric, herb, ginger, moringa, corn and breadfruit, strawberry, arrowroot.
Yes.
Veggie provisions and all kind of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and go far. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper.
They
We
come back
want
to you.
coconut water, beautiful sunflower, hibiscus tea and some tertius, please. Planted tomato, berries many color, watermelon, sweet pepper, cherry and guava. The guava, the guava. Black cassava, green banana,
Yes.
mango, cocoa, and sweet potato. Sour, strawberry, herbs, ginger, moringa, banana, breadfruit, shadow, baby, arrowroot, veggie provisions and all kind of fruit. May the work of your hands flourish and go far. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper. May the work of your hands be blessed and prosper.
The link is in the comments for that song on YouTube. Go check it out. It's amazing. Like I said, it's homegrown. That tune there is just one of them powerful tunes, family. Like the sister said, there's a whole message in her music. So you're not just hearing noise, there's a message. And anytime you can get a message in the song, trust me, that's a word from God, man. Because, I mean, for the most part, a lot of what you hear on the radio is mere noise. It's just noise, you know. It might be a different kind of message, but nevertheless, family, plant the land. She said, plant the land. Big tune, Indra, shout out. Maximum respect on that tune as like the anthem here. I cannot not play that. Anyhow, family, I want to thank you all for coming out and staying out and, you know, being a part of this experience. When it comes to food, I'm always so passionate. I feel like going to cook right now. I got some flavored peppers I had there for a friend of mine to drop off, but I ain't get there. The elder, I gonna have to drop off some stuff tomorrow for him, but definitely put him in the pot, some stir fry rice now and some pineapple and thing and some peppers. I can try a thing. I get in the kitchen and see what I can come up with. But anyhow, family, thanks again. Big shout out to Junior Phillips for coming through and staying with us and giving us that wisdom. Like he said, knowledge for those going out and those coming in is a little disconnect. And I think one of the most important things there is to reconnect that. Shout out to Sign Call for 2, by the way, because we got to teach the children early what we learn late. And again, you know, it's easy to fight the system or a system or another system, but it would be more challenging to create one that actually works, sustain it, and let it grow like a seed planted. So be planted by the rivers of waters that bring forth fruit in due season. That's what we're dealing with. So give thanks again, and we're going to make it happen. So having said that, yeah, I had another tune. I wonder if I could find that tune real quick. Let me see if I can find that tune. Ain't too often I play music. Let me play another one real quick. What's that, brother? And I talk about food and security too, man. What was his name? Oh, yeah. I remember. You remember your brother or Orlando? It was Orlando, right? Yeah, it was Orlando. Let me see if I can find Orlando tune real quick. I think it was Orlando. Was it Orlando? I can't remember the name. I think so. I hope so. Yeah, Googling the name. I ain't even sure. What was his name? Let me see. What was it? Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. That was your brother right there. Yeah, it was your brother. So you remember this one here, man. Thanks for coming through, family. Y'all be good. Stay tuned. See you.
Revelation. Prepare for them food shortage. Ask about them seed bank storage. Social media, what a distraction with them demonic forces. Tell me who them sources. What's the ingredients of them sauces? Give your prime ministers and religious leaders, find out who them bosses. Oh, them full of money, oh. Now make the 1% them jumpy, oh. Tell your elect but you can't select. Watch the options them keep giving you. Who get the contracts? The one with contacts. Poor people get less money with more tax. Open your eyes and see when the real enemy. I'm behind this jungle still. Some rich and some fast still. All the money with them have that can't buy salvation. But behind this struggle, out on the battlefield. Oh, yeah, no, man fed up with oppression. Man stand up for me, how I know. Man, I call for me, how I know. Gotta detach on the system. Self-sufficient man fall. So I've got to take myself away. What control we mentally. Make my chip enter with. Stop your income when your food done. You're going to give in eventually. Remember, prayer without works is dead. God help those who help themselves. Not put them faith in our riches and wealth. Ignore them health and still end up in a hell. Man turn Judas, girl turn Jezebel. So the man tomorrow, enough of them blind follow. See them today, you know see them tomorrow. Pastor sex that.